Hi, I'm Ben Robertson, Director of TechChat. Today I'm talking about our Deans Marsh house. So I'll just be blunt up front. They had a budget of 1.5. We didn't make it. It ended up costing 1.8, and that was just because of the amount of infrastructure that was required for the site. So anyway, thoughtfully conceived in relation to its site, Deans Marsh House is grounded with a sense of anticipation. Located in regional Victoria and accessed via a winding driveway, the momentum and repose is evident in the arrival sequence, as well as in the experience of the dwelling itself, resulting in a home that is surprisingly tranquil, light-filled, and despite its robust materiality, quite calm. So the existing site is just pastoral land. So this is the site. I'll show it on this one. So the only thing that we were really up against on this site was the BMO, the Bushfire Management Overlay, purely because of this area here. Previously it was just a camping site, so it had no infrastructure, and the road access was from this point over here. The client left it in our hands to actually nominate where we wanted to position the dwelling. So that's just to highlight, we're just the last property that's within it. So we set on our way, we met the surveyor there in the morning, and that was because we weren't sure where we were going to position it. So we just wandered on foot, we parked at the front, and we just sort of walked through trying to assess where we were going to locate the house. That's the surveyor right there. We were looking at ultimately two sites once we did our little tour. And we had the surveyor survey these two areas. Upon receiving the survey, we did actually just choose to go with site one, purely because of the view lines. You can't really read it, but we also got the surveyor to point the direction of the adjacent dwellings that you could potentially see once we looked at siting it. So this is the actual view of the property, and you'll see shortly of where we chose to locate it. So this was the position that we ended up choosing because it was the most elevated. We had to offset at 25 metres minimum from this due to the bushfire protection zone. And we obviously wanted to avoid looking at this dwelling, and over in this corner there was a few sheds, etc. So we did focus our outlook towards the northwest, and we also found this axis quite interesting purely because the driveway was so long, it's 1 kilometre long, that we also sort of took that into the philosophy of the design when we're looking at it, which I'll be able to show in pictures. So again, just looking at how it sat on the site, we were pretty much downhill from the bushland. We were uphill from the, I'll call it there was a creek or something down there. And we also had a really nice view towards the north, and there's another creek to that side as well. This is the positioning, you can't quite see it, but there's a certain point when you're going up the driveway that you can't see anything, you don't know what you're arriving to. And it's not until you get to this sort of corner that we sort of went, oh, how lovely would it be to kind of reveal the house and just sort of surprise people. Because we did want to focus the house towards the north, we wanted to have as many rooms as we could on the north, and therefore it was going to end up being quite long, and we wanted to make sure that, you didn't just arrive and it looked like this massive compound. We also had a budget to deal with, and therefore we did need to sort of re-look at how we approached the design. So it started off as this. We were looking at square metre rates, so this was 310. We had proposed a really long version, which was 340, and then there was the bigger one which really took on board the whole process of the view lines, but it was 350, and by the time we did our breakdown, it just wasn't feasible. We had also looked at having it elevated off the ground, purely just to enhance the views and not to have to cut any earth away. That wasn't reality either. So we ended up on this plan here. So when you come up the driveway, you're first greeted with a large rammed earth wall, which has a small opening, which becomes, I guess, the progression of the site. So you start seeing the layering of the rammed earth walls. It's split into two elements. Technically, only 2 people live here full time. So we wanted to put all their focus on the north, and to keep the perimeter down, we chose to put the secondary bedrooms, which the children occupy, probably only for a couple of weeks per year, on the south side. So not ideal, but we had to reduce the amount of rammed earth. and the perimeter as noted. Because of the landfall, we ended up with this quite decent service area, which is where the water tanks and all the mechanics of the house are located. To save costs, we did have to do a bit of a cut. So on the west side, you can see that dashed line is where the earth was, and then on the eastern side, it was a little bit higher. So we just sort of nested it into the earth a little bit. But in principle, it's a very linear form. We haven't reinvented the wheel in that sense. So how that translates into the built form. This is your first view when you're going up the driveway. So you see this one wall and then the timber, the southern section of the bedrooms in timber. So that's also too because the two owners, they live on the north side. We put most of the attention and the money, I won't lie, into that northern section because they're the ones who are experiencing it day to day. As you get closer, this actually represents the door. So it's just a bit of a memory from far away. And as you get closer, it just starts becoming this repetitive element. And it also is the first signifier of the layering of the round earth walls. When you open the front door, you do get a really nice vista towards the east of the site. Just a few images of that. And then looking back towards the driveway and the bushland, and then I'm just going to sort of take you through the building. So when you enter, you do get that view all the way through. We also chose to separate the northern section and the southern section with a level change, and that was purely to increase the ceiling height. And because of the way that the earth did fall away, we wanted that view to be more enjoyable from a higher point because of the northern alfresco. The round earth walls feature in the layering effect throughout the whole house. We have voided, and you'll notice it in the kitchen and bathroom, to keep the cost down. We did void putting services and anything within those walls. We tried to hide them in joinery, so all power, plumbing, etc. was always kept separate. And then as you sort of progress through the house, you start seeing the repetitive nature of the walls. The materiality is very consistent, lots of laminate, and that's because, to be honest, the round earth wall out of the 1.5 budget was around 220,000. So we didn't have that much left to play with when it came to the material choices, but we still wanted to allow it to have that feeling of being quite luxurious or sophisticated. Yep, no worries, I'm not too far. In terms of the materials, it's also really just travertine, timber laminate, and then the rammed earth and obviously painted walls, but it's repeated all the way through the building. It's not a huge house. It's 350 square metres including the garage, and there's a lot of storage in that too. So we did try to keep that actual habitable footprint under the 300 square metre mark. So you always get these little glimpses of the round earth wall featuring throughout the whole property. As you are walking through the library/snug, you do sort of really get that whole layering effect of the round earth walls. This is sort of what I was alluding to with the dado walls in all wet areas, etc. So we just tried to be really mindful of where we did spend, because the client's brief was literally, I just want some round earth in my house. So overall, the sense of discovery upon encountering Deans Marsh is powerful and surprising. Its resounding stillness and tranquility, layering and material finesse, we feel creates a successful outcome. So I'll just show you a few more. Thank you.